And then I just dropped my pencil. So I did Camp Flash. Shut up. It does sound wrong though. So, God, now I gotta get back into it. Writing productive as possible. This was making my productivity. Let's recap.
What?
Shush. Let's. Alright. Let me recap 10. Oh my god. Oh. And it's just kind of relatable that just. You can't make this up. Hello, dears. I'm Natalie Locke. Welcome to episode 158 of Write the Story, where I give you a prompt and 10 words out of this book, Write the Story. And there's 200 in here. So as you can tell, I'm very close to being done with the book. And then we're going to be on that journey of editing after a long break in between these two because, oh my gosh, it's like the closer I get to a goal, the more done with it I am, like mentally. So I'm trying to persevere so that I can be done with all 200 of these prompts by the end of 2022. We're going to see if it happens, see if I can keep up with it. Other things going on. I didn't record myself typing this out, so I'm not going to be able to read the story to you unless you just want to see my face the whole time. It's going to be kind of boring, but I can summarize for you what I did. I didn't really do an outline for this story though, in case you want to do this prompt with me. The prompt is grandparents acting like children. The words to include are wedding, squash, dream, foretell, glue stick, urchin, solstice, inertia, ice, and composer. The prompt kind of led me down a path. For anybody who has kids or just enjoys kids shows, there's an episode of Bluey where Chili, the mom, has taken Bluey and her sister Bingo, her children, to see their grandfather, her own father. And her father just had some heartworm issues, which I thought was a cool little dog to human aspect thing, and was supposed to be taking it easy. Instead, Chili's father and Bingo and Bluey end up like going on this wild chase with Chili behind them, and Chili telling her father, "You need to like take it easy and everything. Stop running." And at one point in the scene, in the episode, which is only 8 minutes, so you're not killing too much time to watch this, by the way, Chili goes, "I need him. I need my dad. I'm not ready for him to be gone." And that kind of makes the grandpa kind of his heart sink a little bit, and he feels bad for running. So they run just a little bit longer, and then finally he rests and allows his daughter to catch up to them, and they just sit and relax. And that's what it kind of made me think of, is acting like a child is still playing and not giving your body rest. But since that was already done for the Bluey episode, I was like, I can't do that. So I went a totally different route, I guess, where the parents are home, they're staying there, and similar to Bluey, where Chili had her own kids, I had my main character, Lexi, and her husband, Danny, and they have kids, but you don't find that out till the end. And they come into Lexi's parents' house, and it's just chaos. There's boxes everywhere. There's a belly dancing video on the TV when there's also a brand new TV. There's silly string all over the dining room. There's a sea urchin in a fishbowl. There is a squash racket in the sink, and the ice bucket, I guess you could say, from the freezer is overturned, but all the ice is in the sink. Just chaos. And then there's like a glow from underneath the pantry door, and that's when Lexi and Danny find Lexi's parents, and they are stoned out of their mind. and they ended up not only eating edibles, and probably too much, but Lexi decided to give her parents a chief affiliation membership. It's the equivalent of Amazon Prime, but I couldn't think on the spot of how to change that, so that's something I need to work on. But and her parents are in lockdown, and being elderly, they weren't really allowed to go out, so they have been stuck in that house, and they ended up getting edibles and buying so many things shipped to their house, like the TV and the belly dancing video, the squash stuff, the urchin, the silly string, all this other stuff. And they end up shutting themselves in the pantry and just eating all through the pantry. And it's only been 2 months into lockdown. So it was just one of those moments. And it kind of ends, I think, in a good way, where right as Lexi's kids come in and go, our mom, or grandma and grandpa okay, and grandma and grandpa of course get the giggle fits. Danny ends up joining in with the laugh because he can't believe it, and finally Lexi ends up laughing, crying, and it's just kind of relatable that just you can't make this up, but in reality I did make it up, so um yeah, it was a joyful story to write. But I can't really spend too much time on that because this video is also serving the purpose of sharing with you my July wrap up. For anybody who doesn't know, I did Camp Flash. This is supposed to be a July wrap up for how Camp Flash worked for me, and that's also why I can't spend too much time on episode 158, but I've already talked on points that I want to make better in the story. So for Camp Flash, for anyone who doesn't know, that purely was part of Camp NaNoWriMo. There is NaNoWriMo every November, which is National Novel Writing Month, where the goal is to draft 50,000 words in a month, which is roughly like 1,600 something per day. Then there is Camp NaNoWriMo, and there's 2 of those throughout the year. One is in July, which is what I participated in this last go around. With that, it's kind of a setting your own goal, whether it's an editing goal or a rewrite goal or a drafting or a outlining, or in my case, it was doing 1 flash fiction per day. So I was very task oriented and not quantity of words oriented, because with flashes, it's great. You just stay under 1,000 words, though some areas do say 1,500 words. I enjoyed it. But I also realized as I was stretching myself thin, even though I did a lot better at this Camp Flash than I did for Flash Fiction February, where I spent less time writing, which is good because that means more time with the family or more me time or more, well, not more work time because I don't change that. But it was good to spend less time writing, where my actual writing time was more productive, and that was kind of the thing I took away. I was more focused on words per minute than anything else. That was the evolution of what happened. Whereas with Flash Fiction February, I was more focused on getting as many words as I could still, but it was keeping it under 1,000. This was making my writing as productive as possible. The moment I sat down, write as quickly as possible. So there may have been more mistakes that editing Natalie might need to fix, but I also think that this helped explore to just get it on the page, because the whole purpose of a draft is for the draft to exist. That's it. There's no other purpose other than to exist. Editing is going to fine-tune and make things better. Let's go ahead and recap how July went for me. July is 31 days, so therefore my 28-day total, which would be 4 weeks, I had 4 weeks of data, but then the last 3 days definitely changed things around a bit, but being 3 days out of 31 days, it didn't alter my stats too much. But I just want to recap what each week was. Now I'm going to shift over to share my screen so you can see how week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 progressed, and how that played into the overall July snapshot. It really didn't change much, but I'm still happy with it, and it's something that I want to continue. but it's really hard. I can tell you that already. Let me first cover the recap, and then I'll talk about how that's already starting to counter with just even this episode 158 that I tried to do.
Column A is the prompt, which is kind of the working title, but it works, as well as the prompt episode. The episode is actually a number I assigned just based off numbering in the book because the pages are not numbered in the book. Thus, that is the only way I can keep track of these and be able to find them again when I need to edit. Column B is the words per flash that I wrote. So a family gathering on a holiday, that was 732 words. And then column D is the minutes that I spent writing that flash. And that was 80 minutes. Now, I will say, if I outlined the flash, I included the outline time, but I did not include the outline words in my time count. And next time, I think I might drop the outline or include outline time and outline words, not just one or the other. But because I started this month with only including the outline time and not including outline words, I kind of had to stick to it so that way the data was consistent. Near the end, I just kind of stopped outlining too. At times I did outline, but most of the time I just didn't have outlining whatsoever, which is completely fine. So that is column D. And then E, F, G, mostly G, that's where my totals are that you see. So week 1, we have total words 3,930, which I spent about 5 hours writing, and that's over 8 flashes. And then week 1 per minute was about 14 words per minute. The reason week 1 had 8 flashes is because for Flash Fiction Live that Chandra Arthur and myself do every Saturday about 8:30, either on my channel or on her channel, we always do a bonus flash after we do the flash assigned for that day. So that's why there's an 8th one, because this spreadsheet is accounting for all the flashes I do, not just the flashes from the Write the Story prompt book. That's why the numbers are that way. So that is week 1 snapshot. Week 2 snapshot is 4,134 words, and we only did 7 flashes that week in the time of 6 hours. Almost 6.5 hours, actually. And so I was really heavy in my hours of time writing, which means that week I didn't spend as much time with the family. I mean, we're only talking an increase of 1 hour, but still, that could account. I mean, if you're talking 1 hour per week extra, that's 52 hours extra per year that you could be spending time with family. This is the way I think. I like math, so excuse my nerdom when it comes to numbers, but that's why you get these spreadsheets from me. So with the week 2 stats, I was just under 11 words per minute. Not very productive when it came to actually sitting down and writing. So I made the goal for week 3 to do better, and I did. So week 3, we have only 3,068 words, so almost completely 1,000 words less than week 2. So that side of the house is not good. But the time I spent writing was only a little over 2.5 hours. I mean, we're talking 2 hours and 35 minutes roughly, which gave me then week 3 words per minute was 19 words. 19.5 words per minute technically, but remember we don't do partial words. So 19 words per minute compared to 10 words per minute in week 2 and 14 words per minute in week 1. Week 3 was awesome. Least amount of time, most amount of words per minute. And I will tell you, through this entire process, I felt very creative. Even if I spent more time writing, I still felt creative. My stories felt unique. I felt I was headed in the right place and I was doing the right things to set the foundation for the draft so that when I go back in and edit, I have something to work with versus an entire rewrite. Which, I might make a vow that when I go back in and edit, that I cannot do an entire rewrite. I might do that now. Hopefully no one calls me out on that if I do a rewrite. So that's week 3 stats. Week 4, we went a little bit less. I think week 4 became the Goldilocks zone. But week 4 was 3,941 words. So a little bit below week 2, around where we were for week 1, and above week 3 on the words. The time was 4 hours. So less than week 2, less than week 1 on hours, but more than week 3 on hours. But the words per minute were the second best at 16 words per minute with week 3. In week 3, I did still do 7 prompts. Then we have our final 3 days by themselves of the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. That has given me, for July, writing 16,316 words, just under 19 and a half minutes. So we're talking 1925 here. And at a rate of 14 words per minute. Considering I had that 1 week of 10 words per minute average, 14 words per minute is not that bad. Now, the downside and the humbling side is that I know I can write 60 words per minute, easy, if not more. Knowing that I can write that when I know exactly what I want to say, when I want to say it, is problematic because with flashes, I don't always know what I want to say. And also with these flashes, I'm constantly scrolling up to make sure I'm including one of the 10 words. So maybe if I have a prompt that doesn't require 10 words to include, I might do better on the words per minute. But even, let's remove that aspect and just say this is me writing normal. That's not bad. Now, you'll notice episode 158, the episode we're on right now that's airing, is that I wrote 801 words for that one. Now let me explain why I think that's problematic.
So, writing 801 words, not a problem. I'm happy with that story. I'm happy with the idea. I kind of let it mull over for a bit, at least the prompt itself. The words, I still stay true and try not to look at the words until I'm sitting down getting ready to write. And I did not time myself for that 801 words. But I'm starting to think I need to start timing myself. I need to start setting that deadline of you should be done with this story by this point. Because when I decided to write this, episode 158, I sat on the couch, had the TV going, talked with my husband in between paragraphs and everything, and I wasn't in it. I was not in the zone. I wasn't fully invested on the writing, but then also I wasn't fully invested on the conversation. So it's like I was half with both, and I felt fine with it, but wouldn't have it been better for me to have sat down, wrote the story, get it out there in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or maybe let's say a max an hour? Wouldn't have been better. And then interact with the family. I just feel like I truly need time, like a time crunch, a sprint. I feel like I need a sprint every single time I write flash fiction now because I felt that pushed me to be productive. It's worked in flash fiction live. I mean, I'm usually around 400 something words in flash fiction live. Sometimes I've been more than that in the 500 range. I think one time I was in the 600 range, can't quite remember. And I just do better with it, with that time crunch. And I think that is the key for me to have this balance between writing and my personal life is to give my writing a time crunch. So that way I'm focused on making that time as productive as possible and then being like, all right, I did my 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever the case may be. And now I'm going to go do something else that is on my list, whether it's something I want to do, something I need to do, or something I have to do. And I think that's what July has shown me. Flash Fiction February showed me to focus on task. Camp Flash showed me to make the time I designate for writing, or whatever the case may be, because this could apply to work for me or apply to my time with my kids, is to make that time as meaningful as possible instead of trying to share myself over multiple things at the same time. And I think that's what I plan to do now. And I'm really interested to see how that's going to evolve because, like I said, I learned to focus on task more. That now I'm focusing on, in those tasks, making that as productive as possible. So what's the next thing that I'm going to learn? What's the next thing that's going to get me going and make me be a better me? So I'm really interested to see if anyone else learns something through the processes that they set forth on themselves, the different goals they set for themselves. What do you learn from it? What do you gain? What do you think other people could gain by doing the same thing? Or they might gain something different, but they should try the experiment. I've seen a bunch of things, and that's what I also like about writing, is that every writer's different. But because every book is different, a writer writing different books is going to approach each of those books in a different way. I did not write my contemporary sci-fi manuscript the same way I wrote my dark women's fiction manuscript. Totally different approaches on how I handle both of those, and totally different editing methods. And I think the same thing is going to apply with these flashes. So stay tuned to see if I actually push myself to be done. I'll let you in on a secret. I got 4 flashes that I skipped back in June that I need to do in conjunction with the 10 scheduled flashes that I have for August. So we're going to see if this works out. I'll let you know. But until next time, I hope you are finding joy in your passion, whatever it may be, every single day, every week, every month, and every year.